Okay, folks, this is a bit of a last minute kind of switcheroony, I would say. Not a last minute edition video, but I was planning on doing this video after the Golden Globe nominations would be announced. But since this show will announce their nominations 3 days after the Globe nominations, I might as well do this now during this weekend before it begins. So I'm probably, if you're watching this, I'm recording this on the 7th, on the Saturday, so I'm hoping to get this released on the 8th of Sunday, or on Golden Globes nominations day on the 9th. So yeah, we're doing the other awards show that will announce their film nominations. They already announced their TV nominations this past week, but now we're going to be predicting the film side nominations for the Oscar Predictors themselves, the Critics' Choice Awards. We've got a lot of categories to predict, so I'm not going to go any explanation on a lot of these. I'll probably do that when we get to the final Oscar nomination predictions. But since there's a lot of categories, I'm just going to do a rapid fire on some of these, except for like international foreign language films, they call it, or animated, and obviously the big eight, of course. And let's see how the Critics' Choice are going to do all the big obsessiveness with Wicked. Well, we'll just have to see. So in a massive rapid-fire pace, for our original song, I have Compress Repress from Challengers, El Camino from Amelia Perez, Forbidden Road from Better Man, Kiss the Sky from The Wild Robot, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, and Mi Camino from Amelia Perez. For makeup and hairstyling, I have Beetlejuice, Dune Part 2, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. For costume design, I have Conclave, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Maria, Nosferatu, and Wicked. For production design, I have The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. Almost similar to the costume design lineup, but replace Maria with Brutalist. For original score, I have The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, Dune Part 2, because I didn't want to go with it originally because of the question of Oscar eligibility, but then again, they did nominate and gave the win to Tar, so it makes sense. Amelia Perez, and The Wild Robot. For visual effects, I have Dune Part 2, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga, Gladiator 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Mufasa the Lion King, although no one hasn't seen it yet, but they got The Matrix Resurrections nominated before anyone else saw it, and Wicked. For film editing, I have Anora, The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, Dune Part 2, and The Substance. And for cinematography, I have Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Maria, and Nickel Boys. Now on to the two featured film categories, since obviously for the documentaries they already have their own Documentary Critics' Choice Awards for theirs, plus acting ensemble and young actor or actress. For Best Foreign Language Film, I have from India, All We Imagine Is Light, from the United States, Didi, from France, Amelia Perez, from Poland, The Girl with a Needle, I believe that's where it's from Brazil, I'm Still Here, and from Ireland, Kneecap. So yeah, I am kind of predicting that Iran's The Seed of the Sacred Fig misses here. I know it's like a very important film to watch, but the critic receptions, okay, now I know that the Critics' Choice doesn't really matter when you compare that to, like, the actual ones, because these are just Oscar predictors, so there might be a lot of passion for The Seed with the Sacred Fig to get in, but you could also say the same thing with Amelia Perez. Like, if the Critics' Choice were legit critics, those two films, like Amelia Perez and The Seed with the Sacred Fig, definitely would have not been nominated, and you would have put films like either Universal Language from Canada or In Her Place from Chile, which would get in instead of those two. For animated feature, I have Flow, Inside Out 2, Piece by Piece, Transformers 1, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. For ensemble, which I think this might be a little bit different when we get to the Screen Actors Guild, I have Anora, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Saturday Night, Sing Sing, and Wicked. For young actor or actress, I have Mark Eichenstein in Anora, Elliot Heffernan in Blitz, Ethan Harris in Nickel Boys, Karis Montegola in Wicked, the only actress that I do have in here, Isaac Wan in Didi, and Brandon Wilson in Nickel Boys. So now we are into the Big 8 categories, and this one will be a little bit more of an explanation for some of these, so we'll see how these go. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see what nominations would make sense for critics groups, even though we know for a fact these are just Oscar predictors. So let's see if there might be some nominations that just only appear here at Critics' Choice, but doesn't go to any of the other award shows. So for adapted screenplay, I have Conclave, Dune Part 2, Hitman, The Room Next Door, Sing Sing, and The Wild Robot. So Hitman and The Wild Robot are kind of the ones that I think will get here at Critics' Choice, but doesn't go all the way throughout the season, like at BAFTAs or the Writers Guild or at the Oscars. I know I should be putting Nickel Boys, which I will admit I have kind of put a little bit more into it at the Oscars at the moment, but that will be safe for the December nomination predictions. It's just that obviously films like that and Emilia Perez have kind of a divisiveness of okay receptions, but it still could get in for the script, but I just only have it getting in for cinematography here at the Critics' Choice. For original screenplay, I have Anora, The Brutalist, Challengers, A Real Pain, Saturday Night, and The Substance. There is a lot of support for some of these critics' favorites. I mean, Hard Truths just won National Board of Review. There's a lot of support for Didi. Civil War just might be a critics thing. His $3, maybe also another critics thing. Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman getting a lot of support and appearing on National Board of Review's top 10. I saw the TV Globe did well with The Spirits, but I think that would be the only place that film would show up in general if it does show up at the Oscars. For the acting categories, for supporting actress, I have Joan Chen in Didi, Selena Gomez in Emilia Perez, Ariana Grande in her lead performance in Wicked, Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, Margaret Qualley in The Substance, and Zoe Saldana in her lead performance in Emilia Perez. So, yeah, taking out Danielle Deadwyler in The Piano Lesson might be a bad move. Like, they did nominate her for Till. I just feel like there might be some shows that might not nominate her because the movie itself doesn't have the big compassion when it comes to, like, the August Wilson adaptations. I do have a little bit worrisome she might be the film's only nomination at the Oscars, especially for a Netflix movie. That's not a good sign when you're the only Netflix movie in contention for an acting category, let alone supporting. So, that's a big question mark. For supporting actor, I believe this is my Globes lineup as well. Kieran Culkin in his lead performance in A Real Pain, Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing, Edward Norton in Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Stanley Tucci in Conclave, and Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. Denzel could be the one that might be the outskirts one when it comes to at least the critics' favorites. I could almost see them going with Adam Pearson and A Different Man, just because of the support he would give with the movie. If Baby Girl does well, maybe Harris Dickinson. Yeah, I don't have Harris. I have Harris Dickinson at the Globes. I don't have him here at Critics' Choice. That was the difference. Yeah. Yours Borisov makes more sense for like BAFTA. If the critics are really legit, maybe Nicolas Cage and Longlegs, if they were legit critics. I mean, they did nominate him for Pig, but they didn't nominate him last year for Dream Scenario, so that's the opposite thing as well. Brian Tyree Henry is a previous nominee. He's gotten a little attention for The Fire Inside, but I just feel confident in the 6 that I do have. For lead actress, I have Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, Angelina Jolie in Maria, Nicole Kidman in Baby Girl, Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, and Zendaya in Challengers. So, I have done a bit of a risky move by not putting in Carlos Villegas in Emilia Perez in here. Not also I mentioned that this is obviously critics, and there might be a lot of critics' favorites that are trying to be Oscar predictors and are trying to predict what could be the most nominated film, or trying to predict news headlines like Wicked gets the most nominations, or like Zendaya is going to become an Oscar nominee, or something like that. If they were legit real critics, you would see Kirsten Dunst in contention in here for Civil War, but that is not going to happen. But it is still an insane when you look at all the other candidates specifically. But I feel like this is the one award show I do think Saoirse Ronan would miss, because although she had gotten praise for her performance, the movie itself doesn't really have the high passion. But then again, they did nominate Renee Zellweger and Judy. But even though I'm predicting her for the career win, I am not predicting her for Critics' Choice, oddly enough. And for lead actor, I have Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing, Jesse Eisenberg in A Real Pain, Ray Fiennes in Conclave, and Glenn Powell in Hitman. I know Daniel Craig is obviously did one National Board of Review for Queer, but I'm just thinking, like with The Outrun, I think the divisive reaction with Queer, and I feel like Critics' Choice are going to go more in on challengers. If they would nominate for Sebastian Stan, it would be for A Different Man instead of The Apprentice. And obviously, you are only allowed to be nominated, I believe, once in the... You can do leading and supporting, but you cannot be nominated twice for leading at Critics' Choice. So I feel like if they're going to nominate Stan, it would be for A Different Man instead of The Apprentice. Director, I have Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, Corlair Forjat for The Substance, and John M. Chu for Wicked. That was almost similar to my Globes predictions, but the only one I am not putting in Edward Berger in here for Conclave for some reason. I just don't know what it is. But it's just like, maybe I should have instead of over Jacques Audiard, but I feel like they're going to try to predict the big international candidate. That's what I feel like they're going to do. I am putting a little bit more in contention for Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, but that would be probably more of an industry thing. This might be the only chance for Luca Guadagnino or Jason, specifically for challengers, or Jason Reitman, or even Robert Edgers to get at least in the conversation. This is just what I think critics would think, more so than actual Oscar voters. And finally, for Best Picture, I have Anora, The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, A Real Pain, Sing Sing, The Substance, and Wicked. Emilia Perez is probably the more question mark I have in here. Now, there is also another assumption here that both Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest did not make it in here last year, I believe. Yeah, because Anatomy of a Fall did so well, but it didn't... No, it didn't really do... Yeah, Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest, I believe, did not make it in the picture lineup. So, it is a possibility Emilia Perez would miss, especially for critics. If it was, maybe either Nickel Boys or Complete Unknown. Nosferatu and The Wild Robot or Saturday Night are just probably outdoor candidates, I would say. And that was a rapid, fast-paced prediction on the Critics' Choice nominations. I know I really thought of doing this a little bit later, but you gotta have to get to before the deadline and try to do it a little bit earlier before everyone else does, I guess. So, hopefully that will be the last time I would do, at least for nomination predictions, until December, when we get to, the end of this month, to do my next Oscar nomination predictions in the Big 8.